very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Prime Minister Fandel Stewart says Barbados is being unnecessarily slandered for delays in its court system. According to him, most, if not all, countries have delays in the criminal justice system, and Barbados should not be singled out, making specific reference to the Caribbean Court of Justice. He was speaking during debate in Parliament on the second reading of the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Bill 2017.
Barbados, Guyana, Belize and Dominica have signed on to the court in its appellate jurisdiction. All the others still go to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. And when you read decisions coming out of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, as I do still, I make sure I see them. Evidence of horrible delays are uncovered in CARICOM countries that have not signed on to the CCJ. But you know something, Mr. Speaker? The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council handles that issue of delay much less salaciously than seems to be the case when the issue is being handled here in the Caribbean. These things are dealt with in one sentence, two at most, without any administering of rebuke or any holding up of a particular country to ridicule.
Well, Mr. Stewart says government is working to address the delays by allocating more resources where necessary.
The government is intending to make the sacrifice of making those resources available to the system, and of course to ensure that this problem can be handled in a way that does not do any harm to our finances, but at the same time that responds to the needs of the society.
The Attorney General is not at all pleased with the number of people charged with murder who are out on bail. He highlighted his concern in Parliament during the second reading of the bill, and of equal concern to Adriel Brathwaite, the large number of people facing gun-related charges and sexual offences.
Of great concern is the fact that in many of these instances, the charge, Mr. Speaker, is for either rape or indecent assault, thank you. But moreover is the number of young girls in particular under the age of 15 that are involved in these matters. And we need to pay particular attention to this area because of the damage that is caused to these young people so early in their lives. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, the fact that unless we find some mechanism to get them through the criminal justice system as quickly as possible.
Well, Mr. Brathwaite again pushed for employers to give ex-offenders a second chance. He says many are facing hurdles as they seek to reintegrate into society.
We also know people who have been incarcerated who have gone on to live decent lives, who have not reoffended. It's the ones who reoffend that we need to place resources at their disposal so that the likelihood of them reoffending is removed. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, I don't believe, and I say couple of years because I can speak in particular for my period as minister responsible. I would dearly have loved, in fact I would dearly love, to have some additional resources to place in the hands of the Prison Aftercare Committee.
Former Attorney General and Opposition MP for St. Joseph, Dale Marshall, agrees that some ex-offenders are being held back by their criminal records. He says the Barbados Labour Party, in its first term in office, brought significant pieces of legislation to address this.
And no matter how they had turned their lives around, it was like the proverbial albatross around their neck. So we stood then and we stand now by the desire for any modern society that is serious about rehabilitating criminal offenders that desire being to give these people a clean slate from which they can build and go forward.
Well, Commerce Minister Donville Innes says the bill in no way means government is soft on criminals and is neglecting victims.
That we must find a way of not treating that individual as a criminal ad infinitum. And that is why this bill is before us today, as the one was before in 1997. Today we are merely bringing some specificity to the time frame at which you can then apply to have your record struck and therefore get your kind of character, police to a character that can aid you.
Well, Mr. Innes wants Barbados to start restricting the publication of a person's photograph and other details once charged.
Only do such when and wherever they've been found guilty. We are a small society, and when an individual, let's say in Brooklyn in New York, is picked up by the New York Post and seen in handcuffs being taken to court on a matter, and then 2 weeks later is found out guilty and released, that individual can leave Brooklyn and move to the Bronx or Queens. And nobody over there is going to know him or know anything about him or move to California. But the chap in let's say Husband Heights in my neighborhood, who's been charged and publicized in the public domain, found out guilty or case dismissed, is all of a sudden can't move anywhere.
Opposition MP for St. James North, Edmund Hinkson, supports the bill, noting that rehabilitating ex-offenders is essential. Mr. Hinkson also believes the length of time a person has to wait for a police certificate of character must be relooked, as it is costing people jobs.
People need the police certificate of character. The Honorable Attorney General himself said 45% of people applying for a job need a police certificate of character. Christmas coming up where people might get a 3-week pick or 4-week pick.
Well, coming up, we'll tell you about an alliance between the Barbados and Bahamian Education Ministries. Stay with us.
It's Christmas at the Kingsley store on Roebuck Street. Visit them today, spend $200 or more and get a chance to win one of their 3 grand prizes: a $1,000 food voucher, a $750 food voucher, and one $500 food voucher. Yes, shoppers, the competition is on at the Kingsley store on Roebuck Street. Come on down and shop today for the holidays and cash in on their big savings: cupboards, divans, dining and living room sets, stoves, fridges, recliners, small appliances, televisions, and so much more. The Kingsley Store, where shopping is affordable and the best in quality is our benchmark.
We listened to what you had to say and tore up the old rules, because losing what you paid for is just wrong. Now lost data and talk are a thing of the past. Only Digicel gives you unlimited rollover data and talk. Just buy and renew your Quick Pick bundle before it expires and keep what's rightfully yours. Never lose what you don't use. Go to My Digicel app to bundle up and roll over today. Digicel.
I am Ram.
And I am Cool.
I'm DJ Kareem, and we want you to come out and support the relief efforts for all our Caribbean neighbors after this devastating hurricane season.
Remember, we are one Caribbean.
Love,
protect,
respect,
live up.
Live up now. Get real.
The Ministry of Education is on the receiving end of high praise for its development in early childhood education. It's coming from Bahamas Minister of Education, Jeffrey Lloyd, who is on a visit to the island. He hopes that by examining the system here in Barbados, the Bahamas can improve its own education system. Now, according to him, early childhood education in the Bahamas is provided primarily by the private sector, but he says a growing demand is prompting government to take a much more active role.
At that crucial stage of their lives, they need as much individual attention and the opportunity to ensure that they achieve those attained targets that the minister spoke about and those that we have as well. Because if they miss it at that age, then it becomes more of a challenge in order for them to recapture that ground which is lost. Right. In the Bahamas, we have presently only 1,500, both in private and public schools, only 1,500 that are enrolled, Mr. Minister, in preschool education, which is only approximately 20% of what needs to be.
In response, Minister of Education Ronald Jones says local education officials are ready to go to the Bahamas and assist in efforts to improve that country's education system. Minister Jones presented the Bahamian minister, along with his acting director of education, Marcellus Taylor, with the curriculum and attainment targets for 3 to 5-year-olds. Over the next few days, the Bahamian minister will tour a number of the country's early childhood education institutions, including Erdiston, Maria Holder, and the All Saints nursery schools. Minister Jones says the hope is that Barbados can continue to be a benchmark to which other nations can aspire.
Education for our various peoples is of utmost importance for all of us. Minister Lloyd is a new Minister of Education. I believe that's about 7 months now.
That's correct.
That's about 7 months as Minister of Education. So he's still learning some things, and in Barbados we are always willing to share with our brothers and sisters and colleagues across across the region.
Problems related to literacy are affecting at least one school's capacity to excel in other areas of academia. As a result, acting principal of the Lester Vaughan School, Tanya Harding, says that institution has been doubling down its efforts to improve approaches to teaching English language. She made the revelation during an Inter-American Development Bank mission to assess the progress of the Skills for the Future program in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Ms. Harding says the program, which focuses on improving the numeracy and literacy of secondary school students, is timely.
If we could get an improvement in the English, then we were certainly going to see that across the board improvement in all subjects. So we were very pleased when we found out that we were chosen to be one of the schools involved with the School Improvement Grant. And we have started the program training our teachers, and the teachers then trained other teachers. We've also begun to get some of our equipment and furniture ready for our specialist rooms for literacy and numeracy.
The Skills for the Future program continues to positively impact secondary schools across the country, and education lead specialist for the IADB, Sabine Auberg, says the results are also positive.
Up to this point, the schools visited are very positive. Also, each school improvement grant is different. There's not one size fits all. The schools were asked to identify their specific problems and find solutions to them. And so the responses vary and the measures taken vary also. But overall, for all the schools visited, progress is being made. Some have particular challenges, but everyone is working on addressing them.
A 26-year-old Barbadian from Spooners Hill, St. Michael, has created history as his boy band became the first to win the coveted X Factor title. Sharika Griffith tells us more.
Jamal Sherland moved to the United Kingdom when he was 12. It was there he met Ashley, Miles and Mustafa. The four young men have been making music since they were boys, but they only officially formed the band Raksu last year, with Jamal as lead singer. During their audition for the British reality show X Factor, they failed to impress Judge Simon Cowell with their first song choice. But they would be given a second chance, and the decision to perform an original song proved to be the right one.
I'ma let you have your way. You know you're bad and you're bullshit. You know just what you do.
With every performance, they brought infectious beats, smooth dance moves, and plenty boyish charm. And so it was no surprise when they beat out solo artist Grace Davies for the top spot.
I must admit nobody gets to my heart, but now you get
just want to thank everybody at home, everybody here, all my family who've made this experience so special. I'm speechless, honestly.
No one makes me feel this way. You know I won't get down on it. You know just what you do to me.
What's more impressive is that they did it with 2 original songs, Mona Lisa and Touché. Moments after winning the competition, the group released its first single, Dimelo, a catchy hit first performed on the show in November.
Dimelo, dimelo, dimelo. Dimelo, dimelo, dimelo. You got them lips like Shakira, smile like a villa. Got me feeling like we were stepping on the.
During his victory speech, Jamal, who has previously worked as a physiotherapy assistant, thanked everybody at home, his family, and all who helped to make the experience special. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. And understandably, Jamal's family here in Barbados were overjoyed. Kimita Jones has that side of the story.
He always had a good voice. Those are the words from Jamal Sherland's stepmother, Heather Sherland. She tells us what it was like watching the finals of the X Factor competition on Saturday night.
In the finals, when it was just the 2 of them, Raksu and Grace Davies, I realized that when she sang her second song, Too Young, I really thought that she had them, really. But then when they came out and they sang Mona Lisa, wow, I knew that they really stood a chance of beating her.
In between smiles of pride and joy, she explains how the boys ended up auditioning for the competition.
I think one of them said how they get onto it is that they were doing a gig somewhere and one of the gentlemen from X Factor came up to them, right, and asked them if they would like to perform for X Factor. And that's how they got into it.
The boys executed the X Factor requirement of including a foreign language in their song, so much so that the voters helped them to get the edge over the other competitors. And as you can imagine, the family is proud.
The mother's really happy because I heard her came on and she talked about when he was young, that he used to always do a lot of singing, which is true. And if she's really feeling proud of him. Right, I know his father is overjoyed. I am sure he was so ecstatic when they finally took it.
Family and friends are sending best wishes for the band as it continues to reach new heights in its musical career. Kimita Jones, CBC News.
Thanks, Kimita, and congratulations to them. Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region.
By popular demand, Barbados Lumber Company, Waterford and Spikestown will be repeating their 20% discount store-wide sale this Friday and Saturday and extended to Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Waterford and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Spikestown. Get in the Christmas spirit with 20% discount from Barbados Lumber Company this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Terms strictly cash. This offer does not apply to cement and already reduced items.
Barbados Lumber Company, where I make positive choices. My mind becomes more powerful.
My body becomes more invincible.
I have more energy for our play. I respect me.
I have the power to abstain.
I have the power to make positive choices. I choose the way I'm worth it.
Viewers, please note, CBC TV 8 will be off air for maintenance from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on Wednesday, December 6th. We apologize for any inconvenience.
The Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, or CARDI, celebrated its 43rd anniversary with an interactive open day at the Ministry of Agriculture's Graham Hall headquarters. Members of the public, along with students from both primary and secondary schools, took part in the day, which included an agricultural poster display, a field tour, and various demonstrations. CARDI representative Ansari Hossain says the institute operates in 14 territories in the region, transferring technologies and training to help farmers increase their yield.
And this is where the regional network of CARDI again is advantageous, where we are able to move successes throughout the region to the benefit of the member states. And this has happened in the case of the drought-tolerant corn, some forage species, hot peppers, and sweet potato. In Antigua, Barbados, and Belize, and Trinidad and Tobago as well, the seeds of most, if not all, the commercially produced hot peppers are only bred by CARDI. And we all know how much hot peppers are in great demand in the region and outside.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Andrew Gittins, highlighted CARDI's work in the development of the regional small ruminant industry.
The Institute's contribution towards this effort is through research and development in nutrition, health, breeding, and production systems. The main objectives of the program is to increase production and productivity at the farm level in order to increase the local supply of quality meat and meat products and to enhance regional competitiveness.
An emergency cash transfer is now in place in Dominica, targeting the most vulnerable. The initiative is being done by the government of Dominica in collaboration with the World Food Programme and the United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF. It will target about 25,000 people affected by Hurricane Maria. The World Food Programme says the objective of the initiative is to ensure that people affected by Hurricane Maria can recover. The program will be limited to 3 months, and it will go from 240 EC dollars up to 645 EC dollars a month, depending on the number of children in the household. Social protection specialist at UNICEF, Alex Lavovsky, says people who already receive help under government's social program are among those who have met the criteria.
Households have to have lost their livelihoods or have to have lost their main source of income as a direct result of the hurricane. So basically, the head of the household is currently unemployed as a result of the hurricane. But in addition to these main criteria, there were several other criteria that also had to be fulfilled. At least one of the following criteria has to be fulfilled, and that's that the household includes pregnant and or lactating women.
In St. Lucia, an investigation has been launched following the discovery of a fetus at a solid waste disposal site in Vieux Fort. The fetus, a male, is estimated to be about 6 months old.
It was far from a normal day at the job for employees at the Beanfield Vieux Fort landfill. The occasional carcass of a dog, cat, or other domestic animal is not an unusual sight. But the body of an unborn child sent chills down the spines of the landfill's employees. The fetus was discovered not long into the working day on Monday by one employee as he arrived at work. He spoke to News Force off camera.
I come with a barrow, come in and throw some garbage. As usual, that's what I always do in the morning. As I reached there, I saw something on the ground, thought it was a doll. When I well observed it, I realized it was a child. It wasn't in anything, it was just on the floor. Okay. From the garbage, from a truck it came, and it was just on the floor.
No,
well, I didn't really check. I just saw the top part. I didn't see the bottom part.
The fetus is said to be that of a male. The unborn child was pronounced dead on the scene by a medical practitioner and subsequently transported to the Rambali's funeral parlor at Latuni, Vieux Fort.
I only see the top of the head and the 2 arms, and that was it.
Were the police saluted?
Yeah. They came after we called them because I didn't touch anything. It came from Labrie side, Labrie.
Labrie side?
Yeah, Labrie. It was Labrie garbage.
The matter is currently under police investigation. Sections 174 and 175 of the Criminal Code speak to the concealment of the body and birth of a child. According to Section 174, a person conceals the body of a child if A. he or she secretly disposes of the body, or B. he or she abandons the body in any public way or place with the intention of concealing the fact of its birth or existence. Section 175 of the Criminal Code says, any person who conceals the body of a child, whether such child was born alive or not, with intent to conceal the fact of its birth, existence, or death, or the manner or cause of its death, is liable on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for 5 years. The provisions of subsection 1 shall not apply, A. in the case of a fetus less than 6 months, or B. to the case of intent to conceal the birth, existence, or death of a child, or the manner or cause of the death from any particular person or persons only.
Well, Sports Night is up next, but before we get to that, here is a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Drivers need to constantly keep to their left and proper side and drive at speeds where they can maintain full control of their vehicles. Cooperators General, promoting safety on our roads.